Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me.
It's earlier than I usually record. I haven't even run my fingers through my hair, and I don't have the lights on, and the camera seems kind of shitty right now. But I just had to just record because I didn't record yesterday, and I have been just bursting at the seams. So I wanted to talk about it because, um, you know, it's unusual the way that I've been feeling. Like when I go to bed at night, I am so excited to get up in the morning and drink my coffee. I know that sounds weird, but let me continue. It's like I feel like I have found passion. I feel like I have found my purpose, and I feel like I'm bursting at the seams about it. I think I shared on this podcast maybe a month ago that my mom has been going through cancer treatment, and all of that has been just, they say she doesn't have any more cancer in her body. And when we had first approached it, it was like super um risky. I mean, what is it? Fast growing, or I can't think of the right word, but that it was one of the more scary ones. I'm not using the correct words. And they did the treatment, and she's been through a few surgeries. I mean, she's been through a lot of crap, so it's not like it's magically disappeared. But it's gone. For now, it's gone, and she still has to do treatments. It's bladder cancer, so she goes in and they like put what is actually tuberculosis vaccine in her bladder, and she sits with that for an hour, and then they drain it. And so she's been through quite a few of those. So now that's like maintenance, and she does that um, 3 times coming up. She'll do it once a week for 3 weeks. And then I guess she gets like another 4 month reprieve. And so I think that's the maintenance. And then not to get too detailed about what she's dealing with personally, but there were some complications from one of her surgeries. So now she's got to have this unexpected um well, I'll just say it, nephrostomy tube, and you can look that up. But she's going to have that for a few months, and so there's complications, but she's been so positive. And yesterday was her birthday, and so I sent her some things to celebrate since I can't be there. And I got back some pictures of her playing mahjong with her new friends at her new assisted living apartment that she lives in. And it was just so, my heart was full. My heart was full. I had gotten up at 5 o'clock yesterday morning because another thing that I've just been bursting about is writing my book. And so I find that when I get up super early and it's still dark outside and the dogs are still sleeping, like I love to write during that time. But when I do that, as you know, I'm impeding on my sleep. And I have been on Presnodone for the poison ivy that I told you about. And I'm just going to be wrapping that up in the next few days. But it's been impacting my sleep where I've been just up. And that's unusual for me. It's impacting my digestive system. So I had some prunes delivered through DoorDash yesterday, some whole dried prunes, and that seems to maybe be getting things moving, I just felt like a balloon that just kept filling up. So, I'm starting to feel a little more like myself, and that's making me feel positive. I had such an incredible experience, like going to my art club on Monday, and which I think I told you about. And I just feel like a part of a community now. I feel like I'm getting a lot of joy out of my hobbies. I feel like my cup runneth over, right? I went outside with the dogs yesterday for them to do their poo-poos and potties, and I walked over to the side of our backyard where 24/7. Yes, it's not 24/7 because it gets dark at night. But um every day of the year we have a view of the lake. And that is something that I really did not imagine was going to happen when we moved here. And here it is. I get to just walk over there. And there's something about it, those of you who live near water or love water, like there's something about it. And I have it. I have so much. And yet there's this part of me. I was talking to my psychiatrist yesterday, and when I say talking to my psychiatrist, I ran my mouth for about 55 minutes and I barely came up for air because I wanted to tell her all the things that were making me happy. But with all the things that make me happy, if I indulge in them too much, I told her it's like I've got this scale and the ratio never changes. When my cup runneth over, my physical well-being declines. And so yesterday, I mean, I could barely see straight. I could barely see straight yesterday afternoon. And I still didn't want to stop. And I said to my dogs, because that's what I do, I talk to my dogs. I was like, I have to. I physically cannot go on. And it feels defeating. It just does. It feels defeating because it's not who I want to be, right? I'm fighting. I'm fighting reality. I'm fighting my disability when I do that. And I need to acknowledge that. And that's what I was telling my psychiatrist yesterday. I said, I don't know how much I'm gaining from just coming to you and talking about how happy I am, but I realized that there is a cost. There is a physical cost with being, with enjoying myself, with being happy. That is so why I'm kind of hesitating is because there's an obvious difference to me that has been unfolding as I talk about joy and happiness and serenity and these things. There's a difference between being happy and feeling joy. And it's like the more things I do that make me happy, that's where the doing comes in, where the action, the physical action comes in, the using my eyeballs and stuff, the shittier I feel. So I'm constantly trying to find that it goes back to the spoon and cup theory. If you haven't listened to my episode about spoon and cup theory, go back and search it. It's in the title. I've also got a blog on my website about spoon and cup theory, but it's like, how much do I fill my cup without spending too many spoons? When I was talking to my psychiatrist yesterday, I told her that, by the way. I said, you're famous on my podcast. I talk about you all the time, even though I've never said her name. Um, when I what was I going to say? I was telling her that I don't know. When I fill up my cup, it burns my spoons. That's what it was. Um, what all I told her, all I need to make sure that I have left over today is I need enough spoons to make myself a healthy dinner, a healthy meal. So what I did was I made that dinner early in the day. And it was phenomenal. I did not post it on Facebook, but it was, they're like little pot pies that have the crust is simply like a herb stuffing pressed into a glass bowl. Like you mix up herb stuffing with butter and a splash of water and mix that up, grind it up so it's and pressable, and stuff like press that into the edges and the bottom of a little glass like pot pie bowl. And then this filling, oh my gosh, it was so good. I got this recipe from, I just strayed from the topic. I got this recipe from this, I think I told you, this packet of recipes from 1971. Anyway, it is phenomenal. Okay, going back. So I thought ahead. So I'm learning, I'm gaining wisdom. So yay me. I thought ahead. The only thing that I need to make sure I do today is have enough spoons to make myself a healthy dinner. And so I did it early. So I knew that because I know me now. I know that I will um, paint or make my ornaments or freaking decide to mow the lawn all of a sudden or go down to the lake and float in the floaty. And even though that seems like nothing, it's very overwhelming for my head. Um, so I'm gaining wisdom. That makes me celebrate a little bit thinking about that this morning. So, what is my point? My point is when I woke up this morning, I thought, I already know my topic today because I didn't record yesterday because of how I couldn't even see straight. And I'm like, don't push yourself too far. This morning I woke up and I thought, and I woke up early still, but not ridiculously early. So I got up at 7 this morning instead of 5. But I thought today's topic needs to be about giving ourselves grace. Like we say that, what does that mean? To give ourselves grace. What is grace? Um, Learning to live the life we have and extending grace to ourselves. Like we are so good at extending grace, which I'm going to define grace, but for me, at least, we're far better at extending grace to other people than we are to ourselves. Like when we see, I have a friend who was just getting a scary, um, we'll call it an MRI. And she she was scared about it. And so I had reached out to her and I said, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. I know how scary it is. I mean, I don't know. Hers is different. Her situation's different than mine. But I know it's scary when we can't trust our bodies. And I extended grace. I'm like, you can show up scared. You don't have to show up brave, you know, um, and so on. And it turned out that the situation was far better than she thought it was going to be. That everything is okay right now. And so I said, still no, like lean into the program and it's amazing how much the sobriety program can carry us through health scares and other things in our lives that are going on. That's what it's for us to learn how to live without drinking. And learn how to rest, learn how to know that we're enough, learn how to understand, like, learn how to believe that we deserve happiness, and stop holding ourselves to impossible standards. Like, recovery, I feel like sometimes I'm battling lowering the bar or letting go of the bar that I have built in front of me. And I think that's what I want to talk about today. I think giving ourselves grace is giving ourselves permission to live in the reality of the moment instead of the expectations that I created yesterday. Um, I think I go into everything with expectations. I know in my program it says um don't, like we learn when we do our step 9 when we make amends to go in it with no expectations. I've talked about that previously, that I'm like, what does that mean? How do you do anything without expectations? And I think so here's what I think grace is. Grace is giving myself permission without feeling guilt, without feeling like I'm not measuring up to something, anyone else's expectations, my own expectations. It's letting go of self-imposed expectations. So I can say grace is allowing myself to rest and say no to others, and surface joy even when things are hard, and all of that fluff. It's true, but grace is giving myself permission to live in the moment, respond to the moment with flexibility. Instead of waking up in the morning and thinking, how should I be today? What is today needing from me? I think grace is allowing myself to be flexible and be able to respond to the moment and not plan ahead. Like, I have this constant force that is trying to get my body and my brain to match my expectations, to cooperate with what I expect, what I expect of myself to reach my bar. I've talked in the past about this self-imposed prison and all of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the the catastrophic or unhealthy side of not being flexible. I'm talking about just allowing myself to adjust and adapt in the moment. It's, one would call it living, but for some of us are sicker than others. Some of us, it takes a little longer to figure that out. And I'm one of those. How do I respond wisely to the moment? I was talking about wisdom instead of stubbornly. And I am very stubborn, it turns out. I I didn't know this about me when I was drinking. I didn't know that that I had these standards because by any witness and myself, it didn't look like I had any standards, honestly. But what I didn't know about myself was when I took the alcohol away, that the real me that I was subduing with the alcohol is an overachiever, is I would not say a perfectionist, but I told my psychiatrist yesterday, like, I want to be number one. I want to be the best. And I was telling her that because I brought some of my artwork to the art club, which I think I told you about, maybe not. But I said, I was cautiously optimistic about presenting this artwork because getting feedback is hard. And you walk in and you're like, oh, I hope everybody loves it. And maybe not everybody's going to love it. And so going into a situation like that without expectations, but more than that, with the understanding that maybe with humility, that's what it is, with humility. And I felt like I did a good job. But learning these little characteristics, character defaults, character defaults, whatever you want to call them, but character defects. There we go. Um, Learning about these things about myself and giving myself grace. So I see it. I live with these invisible rules. And these rules are not caused by life. That just adds to it. The rules are some that I created that I never knew I did. Some examples would be I should be productive today. I should always be available. That's not a rule that I create. I don't, I mean, I'm always available to my kids. At least I try to be. Um, but I'm not always making the decision to be available for other people, which I think is a healthy boundary. But I some other invisible rules would be I should never disappoint anyone. I should be able to handle this. That's a big one. I shouldn't need any help, right? If I rest, I'm lazy. If I'm happy, here we go. If I'm happy, people will think I'm not sick. That has been in my mind over the past few days. If I'm happy, people will think I'm not sick. And that's that's an interesting perspective on disability. Um, I don't know if I'll talk about it today, but I think it's a really important topic. It's so important that we're gonna do live action, and I'm gonna take a little note to make sure I talk about that in detail. So, live action. If I'm happy, people will think I'm not sick. Okay. And what is that like? Why does that matter? Um, because I don't, because there's a fear with my disability as someone who's been disabled for 5 years. There's a fear, one of the many, that says, am I going to get better? Why is that a fear? Because what happens if I get better? I haven't worked for 5 years. I was a marketing director and now I haven't worked for 5 years and all of a sudden I'm better. It's a fear. It's just a fear. It's an unfounded fear. All of my medical records, doctors, everything tell me this is it. There's nothing more we can do for you. You are permanently and totally disabled. But yet I can still have these hidden rules, uh, without judging, like without going through my file cabinet of hidden rules and saying, this one's worth keeping, this one's unreasonable, without doing that. They just show up when when I'm living, and it's habit. It goes back to habit. Like when I'm walking my dog, this happened yesterday. When I'm walking my dog, I need to walk this path at this speed, and when we're done, and I will suffer the consequences. Yesterday I was walking, I was like, why am I walking so fast? I feel terrible. Why am I walking so fast? Because walking for me has always been about going from point A to point B. Walking has always been filling the clock. I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. That's exercise. Walking has always been focused on the box that it's in, whether it's time or distance. And so I was walking yesterday and I thought, why am I self-imposing my walk to be inside this box? Just slow down, stop, let Autumn sniff something. You don't have to walk this way. So that's a great, I think, physical example of my self-imposed hidden rules. So this morning I woke up and I thought, it's another happy day. I couldn't wait to get up and make my coffee, which I have sitting one next to me, and I haven't even taken a sip yet. So let's take a sip without burning our mouths. And I thought I'm still happy. I'm still bursting at the seams. That's really exciting. It shouldn't be something that I feel like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I had a stroke and I'm disabled and I have a constant headache. I do have a constant headache. When I laid down for my nap yesterday, I could feel my heart beating in my head. That headache feeling. Um, I laid down last night to go to bed and I felt my heart beating in my head. I've gone too far when I feel that heart beating in my head feeling. I know it's, when I talk about grace, when I like kind of back up and look at what I deal with on a daily basis with my head, if somebody were to hear me talk about that, they're like, geez, geez Louise. Like that's the kind of feeling that you feel on a regular basis. I mean, that's just one of them. And other people call it a headache. Mine is permanent. So it's like, it's just a permanent feeling of shittiness. So if I show that I'm happy, then are people going to forget that I feel shitty? I think that makes a lot of sense for somebody with a disability to go through those feelings. And I think that 5 years, although depending on how you look at it, it seems like a long time to be dealing with a disability and to still be talking about it as if you just, uh, uh, you know, acquired it yesterday. But that's how hard it is. That's how hard it is. So fast forward, I wake up this morning, I'm like, I'm super happy. Um, I didn't I didn't wake up thinking I'm gonna finish painting my painting today. I'm gonna go for a walk today. I'm going to um make some Christmas ornaments today out of vintage jewelry, which is my new favorite hobby right now. I didn't I didn't wake up thinking about what I'm gonna do today. And in response, emotionally, I have been happy. Um, Here's an example because I'm a visualizer. Outside of my new house, we're in what's called Lake of the Woods. And um these trees, I don't know. I think I've looked it up since we've been here, but I can't remember what they're called, what kind of trees they are, but they are gigantic. I can't look up at the top of them because it's too high. It's that high. It makes me sick if I look up at them. During a storm, these trees are like sideways, blowing like sideways. It's scary. But and we're like, one of these days, one of them's just going to snap in half. The branches may fall off, which happens frequently. And I just hope that I'm not standing outside when one of them falls down. But the strongest trees are the ones that bend in the storms. There might be branches that fall off, you know, with a crash, some that glide down. But the strongest trees bend in the storm. And when the storm goes by and I go back out there in the morning, all the leaves are still on the trees. And quite honestly, they seem happier because they got, because the earth got its water and the sun is shining and reflecting off of the leaves and the trunk of the tree, and it's picturesque. It really is. It's picturesque. And I think those trees are happy today. They went through the scariest storm ever and they were closer to it than I was. And they are still and just happy today. Happy trees, as the painting artist used to say. Um, I think that's what grace is. Learning that the moment that I'm in is more important than the schedule in my head. The moment that I'm in is more important than the expectations that I set on myself when I open my eyes in the morning. Like someday, that's where the next right thing, that's what the next right thing. Well, no, I guess that's a little different. The next right thing is more of like, well, it's still responding to the moment, but it's also responding to the moment with what I know is best for me. I guess it's related, rather than what I have told myself I have to do, that self-imposed hidden rule. So sometimes it's doing some cleaning. Sometimes it's helping somebody else. Sometimes it's sending my mom some cookies for her birthday. Sometimes it's sleeping. Sometimes it's just sitting. I've been doing that a little more lately as I've been doing a little too much. I will just go outside and sit and close my eyes. Sometimes it's just picking up the phone and calling somebody and telling them how I feel. Um, the moments that we're in are not asking us to be something. All the moments are they're available for us to be present in them. They're available. And isn't it funny that a moment can become a fight instead of just being? So grace is giving myself the ability, giving myself permission to be what I want to be in the moment. How much can I give myself right now? Or am I already empty? I can't continue to pour from an empty cup. And making the decision at the moment that I notice, okay, you can do something different now. You can take care of yourself now. You don't have to worry about meeting a goal. You don't have to worry about being generous with your time. You don't have to worry about finishing, because self-care can actually become a resentment. And I think that's what happens with me. It's like self-care can become a resentment. It's like my mother is telling me I have to rest and I don't want to. And instead looking at it like it's not my mother who is telling me that I need to take care of myself. It's my body that's telling me. And I think grace is improving my relationship with my body and with my emotions. And grace is allowing myself to do what makes me happy in the moment, whether that or doing what makes me feel good in the moment. And I think that as a recovering alcoholic, there I talk a lot about instant gratification. So it almost becomes this like, no, don't do things that make you instantly happy. Don't eat that donut, girl. Don't eat that donut. Um, but it's okay to give ourselves, to answer those little whispers that say, this would be really nice right now. And not taking 5 minutes, a half an hour, a day to say, to listen and respond and be like, you're right, that would be really nice right now. I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna do it on Saturday. Like, don't do that. Um, I am capable of realizing what I want and giving it to myself. And it's not a bad thing, you know? Um, it's one of the quiet habits that we can practice, changing our response to our lives when things are good, you know? Allowing myself to say that I do deserve this and it will last. That's something that I've recently been thinking about too, is because I've been bursting at the seams thinking about, well, it's not going to last, because that's been my experience. It doesn't last. When I worked from home for 10 years, every morning I woke up and thought, this isn't going to last forever. And it didn't. How much did I enjoy it? I greatly enjoyed it, but that was when I started drinking too. It didn't last, but it lasted long enough for me to be able to give back to my kids for 10 years when they were little, working from home and being available for them. it lasted as long as it needed to in my life to give an incredible experience as being a mother and a career woman. Looking back, I can't wish that, oh, I wish I wasn't an alcoholic back then. Of course, I wish I wasn't an alcoholic. I wish I could have appreciated. I wish I could have been more happy with what all of those millions of moments gave me that I didn't see, you know, the peace and the laughter and the sunsets and the coffees and the afternoons and the unexpected opportunities that people my age back then with 2 kids and divorced didn't really get. Um, I received it, but I think that I received it a little less gracefully than I could have. So I think grace changes the way we speak to ourselves instead of saying, looking back at that and saying, I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have appreciated that time more. Imagine saying to myself, I did what I could. I did the best I could then for what I knew about myself. It's like living with trying to give to a stranger. What I couldn't have given myself what I needed. I didn't even know me yet, you know? Instead of looking today at it throughout the day and being like, oh, I'm falling behind. I really wanted to paint today. I really wanted to make this for dinner tonight. Um, really accepting and believing that I'm walking at today's pace. And when I can change, it's not changing necessarily my behavior before it's changing the voice that I live with and not living with that constant judgment at the end of the day. Was I good enough today? Was I productive enough? Was I helpful enough? Did I call my mom? Was I willing is more what I should be asking myself. Not was I strong enough? Did I do enough? But was I willing to flex and bend in the moment? And that's like such a kind way and more useful way to live with ourselves. Giving ourselves grace is not doing less. I think giving ourselves grace is being kinder, is treating ourselves the way that we would treat another person. I don't have to be perfect. I can be tired. I can take detours. I can sleep in the moment that I think I'm tired. I don't have to force today into yesterday's plan. I just need to meet the moment. I just have to meet it. I just have to be. I just have to say, okay, I'm here. I'm here. That is the best thing I can do for myself on a daily basis, living with a disability, is celebrate the fact that I showed up and that this moment isn't asking me to be anything other than what I actually am. Um, not not asking myself to be any different than what I am. What I am right now in this moment is perfect. Is perfect. Progress, not perfection. I think there is a level of perfection that we can reach in a moment. And that is to be 100% there, present. Whether you call that a meditative state or you're able to open your eyes and notice what's around you. I think that's what grace is. So that's what I've got. That felt good. And now it's time for my sobriety meeting. So thanks for listening. I was just thinking, oh, I hope I hit record. Wouldn't that be terrible? Okay, there it is. I was like, where's my Zoom? Okay, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.